Hi everybody, welcome to Early British Literature. This is Professor Bolden, your teacher. It's nice to meet you, and those of you who I already know, it's nice to see you again. I apologize for this being in my bedroom. I don't have anywhere else to prop up the iPod right now because all of my furniture and other accoutrements are still in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I was living for the last year. So we make do with what we can, but thank you for being here. I just wanted to kind of do an introductory video to kind of cover the stuff that I would have covered on the first day if we had been together in person. I apologize for the confusion in regard to the class. That's why I've been so aggressive about contacting people or trying to for the last week. I have no control over how the course is listed online, but just to reiterate, this class is asynchronous, which means we don't have any Zoom meetings ever. There's no time where we ever all come together at the same time. The way this course works is I put out all the information and all the materials for you to peruse at your leisure whenever it's convenient for you. We have a weekly homework deadline, and as long as all the homework is completed by that deadline every week, you're good. And all of the tests and quizzes are also published on that day. So for you, for this class, your special day is Tuesdays. So every Tuesday you will have something, either a test or a quiz or an assignment, and that's your day. So today is Thursday, so you don't have anything due right now. I'm just posting this to kind of give you some sort of virtual face-to-face time and talk to you about what's coming down the pike. So if you have not read the email that I originally sent, I sent it on Thursday and then resent it again. Definitely go read that on RadarNet. If you're here, obviously it means that you are logged into Edmodo. I'm still trying to track some people down, but I will not be using Momentum at all for this course. Everything that we do will be here on Edmodo. Those of you who had me before, I won't be using Discord for this class either. So this will just be one website. Everything will be on here right where you are now. So on the website, I've already posted the schedule of assignments, and that goes through the entire year. And that's kind of your manual. That's kind of your Bible for this class, if you will. I am always happy to repost that if it's more convenient, but just make sure that you hold on to that. Every time I've taught an online course, people somehow lose that document and get really confused, and it makes me sad because basically everything you need to know is in that PDF. It tells you what's coming up every single week, and if you just hold on to it, then your life is going to be a lot easier. I also posted my office hours, so there's office hours where I'll be physically at the Oak Ridge campus, and then specifically for you, there are some virtual office hours on Tuesdays from 2 to 5. It just means I'll be home, but I'll be in front of my computer, in front of my iPhone, logged into email, Edmodo, Snapchat, everything. So just be aware that outside of those time frames, you may not get an immediate reply from me. So like a lot of people were trying to reach out to me today, and I understand why because of the confusion, but be aware that on Thursday afternoons, I do not have office hours. And I've kind of done my schedule to where deliberately, like on Thursdays at 1, I can go do appointments or go do things for my dog or so forth, take care of my parents, whatever it is. But that office hour document tells you where I'll be when. And then just go ahead and look at the syllabus, and you can either be looking over this at the same time that I'm talking to it or talking to you, or you can look at it first and then listen to this, whatever works best for you. But again, some of you who have been on the Bolden train before, none of this is going to be new information. But so my name is Maggie Bolden, and it's just pronounced like if it was spelled Bolden. My office is H221, and it is on the top floor of the Coffee McNally building at Oak Ridge. And the best ways to get in touch with me, you have 3 different ways to do that. One, you can actually message me on here on Edmodo. There is a messaging feature, and I think my username on here is Ms. B. 2, you can reach out to me on my RadarNet email from your RadarNet email, and that's boldenme@roanstate.edu. 3, I have a Snapchat, and the whole reason that I have that Snapchat is for students, because 4 years ago, my students basically harangued me into getting one, because for some people, it's just easier to use that than to get the computer and log into RadarNet. So my username is Mad Max Fury Road. It's all one word, or you should just be able to look me up by my name. Just make sure to remember not to put me on your private story. I know that sounds like a weird thing to have to say, but you'd be surprised how often that happens. So, course information, we already talked about it. It's asynchronous. Tuesday is your day. So our class doesn't officially get going until this coming Tuesday, which I believe is the 24th. And let me double check that. Tuesday the 24th is the actual start date of this class. Your homework for Tuesday the 24th is just to be signed up on Edmodo and to have downloaded and read and watched all of the material that I've posted by then. That's it. That's your homework. Whenever you have a quiz or a test, since my Tuesday virtual office hours officially start at 2, I can always guarantee that whatever assessment it is will be posted by 2 o'clock, and then you will have all the way until 11:59 p.m. to complete that assessment. So that period of essentially 10 hours from 2 to 11:59 p.m. To complete any quiz or any test. All of the quizzes and tests will be on Edmodo, and they have different formats, but basically everything's here. You're not going to have to go anywhere else. And I can talk to you in more detail, when we do have our first quiz, but just so you know, that'll be the span of time. I do not have it set on Edmodo to where it'll automatically give you the answers, but if you want to know the answers to any given assessment, just reach out to me and let me know, and I will gladly post them the next day. So if you look on the syllabus where it says like learning outcomes and the TBR, general education learning outcomes and all that, that is what the Tennessee Board of Regents, which is the governing body that our college is a part of, that's what the TBR wants you to get out of this course. And that is important, but you can read it on your own. I just don't have anything to add to that. Here's why I think Brit Lit is important. This is why British literature is my jam. So it's not so much about, there's this one particular island to the north of Europe that at one point owned a big chunk of the world, and they're that important, and that's why we study English literature. It's because of our language. English is the cord that binds us all together. Everybody in this class, it doesn't matter where you come from, if you're Swedish or from Madagascar or from Estonia, if you're in this class, you have demonstrated enough competency in English to get here. So that is what we all share. Doesn't matter anything else about our background. We are all speaking English, however you feel about that. So it is my tongue, and it is the tongue that you are speaking in this moment. And every sentence and every word in the English language has its own heritage. It has its own history behind it. These words didn't just fall out of the sky like snowflakes and land on our tongue. They have like a whole bloodline of dramatic stories behind the way our language was shaped. And if I can send you out of this class at the end of the term with just a tinier appreciation for that, then I'll be very happy. But basically, it's, to me, appreciating the path that our language took through the literature that we are studying. And that's why I think Brit Lit is important. And that's why I like teaching it so much. That you may not have English heritage, but we're all speaking it. And these stories, these people like Shakespeare, people like Chaucer, exerted, whether they knew it at the time or not, enormous influence over the way that lexicon was going to be shaped. So I'm glad that you're here. I hope that you end up enjoying it. And as far as textbooks, the good news is there is none. There is no textbook for this class. Everything that we're going to do is in the public domain, pretty much, and I will give it to you. So you do not have to buy anything. The only thing you need for this class is the ability to type papers. Well, no, actually, there are no big paper projects. There's a big presentation project. So just a computer, a phone, the ability to get on the internet. That's what you need for this class, just regular internet access. The grading scale, you have 3 major tests, and I'm just continuing to go down the syllabus if you want to follow along. You have 3 major tests, and they each count 20 points a piece, or 20% a piece. Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3. The tests are, because this is an online class, they are open note, but not open internet. Anything that I post to Edmodo, any lectures, the actual texts themselves, any other material, anything that's on our Edmodo page, you can actually use during the test. If you venture outside of our Edmodo page and use anything else, that is cheating. And I will be able to tell if you have done that. Again, unfortunately, it does happen from time to time. I'm trying to kind of meet you halfway because I know that it is extremely tempting in an online environment to just go to Google. So it is open note. You have the ability to use the resources that you've been given, but you just need to be able to demonstrate competency with those resources. But just be aware, and the reason I'm starting with this now, and I'll say it over and over again, is that I don't want any confusion so that we don't have to have those uncomfortable conversations about cheating and plagiarism. But teletests are open note, just not open internet. Just can't go anywhere else aside from our Edmodo page. The quizzes are 10%. You'll have 10 quizzes throughout the term, and each one will be 1 point apiece. Those will be on Edmodo as well. 20% for projects. There's 3 projects. One's kind of a big research presentation, and then there's a couple towards the beginning, like more fun ones, and one is something that we'll do pretty soon right off the bat, like for our next class. And then participation is 10%. So it says on here it includes preparedness, timeliness, attitude, respect, professionalism, consideration for others, and most of all, engagement in online class discussions and activities. That last thing is the most important. So every week in this class, there will be a discussion prompt on Edmodo, and I'll post something pretty much every week. There may be a couple weeks where there's not, but I will post something and you will respond to it in the comments underneath the post. Edmodo functions just like Facebook. It's just a Facebook for a specific class. So those of you who had me before where we used to do the Discord discussions, we just do this on Edmodo now. So most of the time, every week you will have a prompt. Participating in those discussions is how you get those 10 participation points. And midway through the term and at the end of the term, I go through and count and see how many you've participated in. And if you really haven't been checking in for those, you will not get those 10 points. And that is a whole letter grade. I'm not grading the participation as far as like, oh, there was a comma splice there. I just want you to engage in the conversation and put in the effort. There's a little blurb about the readings that you can read. So this is a sophomore level reading course. There's going to be more reading here than there was for Comp 2 and Comp 1 because this class is more skewed towards reading as opposed to writing. And that's kind of where the impetus falls. Ground rules for me. For this class, I discovered that if you have a late policy where you take off a point for every day it's late, that just ended up getting more and more punitive and it made people not want to turn in the work at all. So I don't do that. There's no appreciating penalty for late work. It's just if you turn in a project late, whatever it is, if it's a test, if it's a presentation, if it's a homework assignment, whatever it is, you will just automatically lose half of the potential credit. So hypothetically, like I said there, if it's a 5-point assignment, then you would get a 2.5 out of 5 for turning it in late. It's usually still worth it to do that though. And like I said, that kind of takes the pressure off and you can just get it to me whenever you get it to me. But that's my late work policy is you will just lose half the credit for whatever the thing was. Every student has the right to a secure and comfortable learning environment. Please read number 2 about I want you to be passionate, but also polite. I've never had anybody get particularly upset about the Canterbury Tales, but I still like to put that out there. I have that usually more for my Comp 1 classes where we're doing standing debates. Number 3, just a heads up in regard to grading. I will get your grades to you as soon as I can. Just realize that I have 4 other classes and I have a pipeline. So I grade the chunks of essays or whatever they are just in the order that I have received them. And I think a lot of people are trained probably by classes where their teachers use Scantron machines, and that's fine. I don't hate on Scantron machines. I just can't use them. So they turn in their paper and they kind of expect it back the next day. I just always like to be upfront about the fact that it won't be that way in Miss Bolden's class. It'll take a minute for things to get back sometimes. But not nearly as long for you as it will for my comp classes, because again, you won't be doing full essays. But you can always ask, like, hey, how's that going? I will never get touchy about that. I'll always try to keep you posted and keep you updated as to how things are going. But that number is just kind of about my grading process. And then number 4, again, those of you who've had me before, you know the drill here, but I have an open and honest communication policy. And what that means is I will never, ever ever try to do something that offends you or hurts your feelings. I always say I am not Snape. That is not my teaching style. And so I will never attempt to be snarky or hurt any of you in any way or be offensive. If it happens, if I have offended you, or if I do something that you just think is stupid, like something about the class that you're like, this policy is ridiculous, what I ask, the favor that I ask you, is just to do me the honor of coming to me directly and talking to me about it first, rather than immediately going through the chain of command and filing complaints. This hasn't actually happened to me at Roan State, but it happened to me frequently at my job before Roan State. Whenever there would be complaints and they would go to people around me and above me, by the time they got to me, much like when you play telephone in the schoolyard as a kid, I could no longer even recognize what had happened or who I did it to, and it was all just a confusing mess. So it's just me trying to say, hey, I'm approachable. You can come to me if you have something you need to talk about, and just give me the opportunity to try and make it right. At that point, if you don't like the way I handled the conversation, then you're empowered to go to my boss. But let's try to be adults and have a face-to-face or Snapchat to Snapchat or email to email conversation, whatever it is. And then in general, I just have a thing about make sure that you don't automatically assume that your teachers are adversaries. People often come into college and treat Roan State like a video game in which every teacher is a mini boss that they have to beat. So you don't have to be combative with me. I want you to succeed. I don't like failing anybody. It doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. So my goal is to help you all get through this class and hopefully, if just a tiny bit, enjoy it. All the other stuff there you can read on your own. It's not that it's not important. I just don't have anything to add to it. Students with disabilities, syllabus changes, Title IX, police department, suicide prevention, all that. But when you look at the very end, the honors program, I did just want to tell you, for those of you who have already been doing honors projects, it's probably not worth it in your academic career at this point to start the honors program because you have to have 18 hours to get the diploma. But if you have already started doing honors projects, then I'm happy to kind of proctor that with you. Nobody else has come forward yet except one person. I see you, friend. And I have a limit of 10 per semester that I will work with. So if you wanted to do an honors project for this class, what it would look like is essentially kind of peruse that assignment schedule, and you would be taking some kind of text from the greater pantheon of British literature and doing a project about it and teaching about it to the class, something that I did not have time to cover. So we've already got one project that's going to be about some kind of analysis in regard to Arthurian myth. You can go anywhere from Anglo-Saxon stuff to John Milton, which is like 1700s. If that sounds interesting to you, let me know. For people, if there's anybody who is planning on being a teacher or a professor, it's probably pretty good practice for that. So that is the syllabus. And coming up this next week, I'm going to give you the weekend to just not be harassed by me for a bit. But you're going to have a post that has a PowerPoint presentation, and that's going to be kind of your first lecture. And it's going to be about something called the 4 humors or the 4 temperaments. And that's just kind of our fun first project that we're going to start with. And it's actually kind of a personality test type of thing, if you like that stuff. If you don't, you're going to do it anyway. I apologize. But just a heads up, whenever that gets posted, I'll probably post it on Monday just to give you a break for the weekend. Make sure that you download it. Sometimes you can just look at a PowerPoint presentation through Edmodo, like Edmodo will open it up for you. Make sure that you fully download it because that PowerPoint has an audio component. It is not the greatest recording ever, and I am specifically addressing a class that I had last year. The reason for that is when I recorded that, I never thought I would be doing this class online again. Best laid plans with mice and men. So if I'm making references to a class that isn't you, that's why. And I just honestly did not have the time to re-record it. So thank you for suffering through that, but all the content is the same. I even put some like Doki Doki Literature Club stuff in there for some students. So it's probably some weird in-jokes, but everything holds up that you need to know. So that PowerPoint about the 4 humors, you will need to read that after Tuesday the 24th and work on the homework assignment that I give you for the following meeting, which again, Tuesdays, we only ever do Tuesdays. I just like it to be self-paced. I think it's better if you, because you're all busy working people, a lot of you, I think it's better if you have the ability to tackle this stuff at your own leisure and when it makes sense to you. That being said, just because we don't have Zoom meetings doesn't mean that you can't talk to me whenever. I am here for you. I'm not shuffling you out into the void. So you can do video conferences with me on Snapchat whenever you want, or audio messages, or come to my office. Like, that time is there for you just as much as anybody else. So just because this is the format and just because the class is online doesn't mean that I don't want to be here for you however I can be. About Edmodo, if you want to get notifications anytime that I post something to Edmodo, or anytime that somebody responds to a comment of yours, what you will need to do is download the app. So you can do Edmodo in two different ways. You can have it, and I have it in both. You can have it on edmodo.com on your browser, on your computer, or you can download the Edmodo app on your phone. It is free, and I highly recommend doing that, because once you download the app, there is a little like bell in the upper right hand corner, and you will then click a gear that's going to be in the same corner, and from there you can turn on or off all kinds of notifications. You might be in the opposite camp. You might be like, I don't want to get notifications for all this stuff. I'm getting way too many notifications. Just be aware, don't complain at me, as some of my students have done in the past. You have the power to alter that. So if you want to change your notifications either more or less, you download the app, you go to the little bell, and you can change it from there. So our class, again, our official start date is the 24th, but I just wanted you to have a better idea of what's coming down the pike and what you're going into. Do you have any questions? If so, feel free to just respond in the comments here, send me a message, email, a snap, whatever works for you. And I am just really glad that you signed up. Thank you so much for being here. I am legitimately hype always about teaching this course, and it just makes me happy that you're here, even though, I know you probably didn't wake up this morning and think, oh, all I've ever wanted to do is take early British literature with this random redneck lady. But we're going to make it fun, we're going to make it informative, and I'm here if and when you need me. So again, have a great weekend. On Monday, I will post your first lecture material, and if you need anything at all, just give me a shout. So thank you for watching. Have a lovely rest of your Thursday. Bye!